President Franklin D. Roosevelt once wrote, "I have an unshaken conviction that democracy can never be undermined if we maintain our library resources and a national intelligence capable of utilizing them." Public libraries have been a central part of American life for centuries, including the one in Lake Geneva. CBS 58's Frank Healy explored the storied history of the newly reimagined library there.
People will think it's a really special spot. They love to sit here and read, work, look at the lake, and just sort of enjoy the building.
At the height of the pandemic, library director Emily Kornak oversaw the renovation of the library on the shore of Geneva Lake.
We wanted to improve ease of use, accessibility, safety after the lessons that we learned out of COVID, but also keep the architecture that we have in place and actually even highlight it a little bit more.
The building, a mid-century modern built in 1954. Kornak says special care was taken to protect the historic design by Wisconsin native and Frank Lloyd Wright protege, James R. Dresser, uncovering characteristics long covered up by shelves of books.
We're sitting by this fireplace, which was an original part of this building, but it had been actually hidden.
Lifelong Lake Geneva resident, historian, and library trustee Chris Brooks says this all wouldn't be here without the generosity of women.
She came up here as the Chicago fire was burning.
Brooks says Mary Delafield Sturgis rented a room with her family at a small home where a Civil War widow lived. Eventually, her family bought the home and the surrounding property.
She decided after her husband was gone that she would donate the property to the city in perpetuity for a library and a park.
That small home, pictured here in a painting, became a library with help from a committee of women.
And they printed the newspaper to raise money because the city didn't give them any money. The city board was all men. And so they took all the women, they made this great effort to raise money to buy books.
From 1885 to 1954, that small home held those books.
Because the deed said until a fireproof building could be built. Because she was so afraid of fire after living through that experience.
That's when James R. Dresser was brought in to design what you see here. A classic example of mid-century architecture with its clean, organic, and simple look. Dresser passed away in 2011. Kornak says when it came time to remodel, the community was heavily involved.
Even the fundraising was a community effort.
When the library ran a 6-month campaign to raise $500,000 for the building, the community gave $800,000. Renovators took note.
So they knew that it was very important to our community to preserve the architectural integrity of this building.
Like these stained glass dividers.
But those were designed by Gilbertson Studio of Lake Geneva, which is a stained glass art studio. And the design is actually a replica of the Geneva Hotel windows.
The Geneva Hotel, a Frank Lloyd Wright designed building, was torn down in 1970.
And we have one of the original windows from the second floor of the Geneva Hotel right above our lobby window.
Kornak says people often mistake these new ones as originals.
I think it looks like it's always been there, which is a sign of good design, I think.
Another aspect, rearranging the shelves.
So if you look through the building from the Main Street side, you can see right through to the lake, which was an intentional dresser feature of the original library.
Brooks says this displays even more characteristics of the building.
Even in little corners, you'll see how around the corner that you can see out and see the brick, and then come in and see the same brick and features that you have outside, inside.
Brooks says these thinner than normal bricks are another Frank Lloyd Wright-esque characteristic.
Frank Lloyd Wright and James Dresser were very close.
Dresser even met his wife through his studies under Frank Lloyd Wright. Brooks says the library means a lot to her.
I had my kindergarten picture taken at the new library when it was built.
I spoke with her at a table with the same design by Dresser where her picture was taken so long ago. She says seeing people visit the library now that it's reopened is her favorite part.
And they walk in and just stop. Oh, it's wonderful. And I just love to see that reaction.
Good day.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Brooks says it's all thanks to library staff, and especially Kornak, that it all came together.
She was the glue. She kept it all together.
Kornak says it's the community that made it happen.
It's a really special place, and one of the really interesting things I think about both this library and this renovation project is that I feel like this is a community building, and there's a great sense of ownership and pride by residents.